What's up, guys? We're in the garage today. We're going to do a review of the Nidecker Era. So I've got the 163 wide here. This is the widest snowboard I've ever had and one of the widest you can get on the market at a reasonable price and at a reasonable length. This comes in with a 272 millimeter waist and a 318 millimeter tip and tail. Yeah, this thing's huge and amazingly wide. I've got size 14 feet, so this thing actually fits the way a real board should fit me. This is one of Nidecker's freestyle boards they've got set up for park riding, so it's a true twin, a really mellow 7.7 meter radius, very clean, nothing special going on. No big surprise with the shape, side cut. It's got a slight camber in it. Makes it real stable at high speeds and nice and poppy going off of jumps. I've overshot on this board, just going too fast and popping a little bit too big. The landing though, I probably should have gotten bucked, but managed to power through it. I think a lot of that had to do with the nice side cut and the real stable camber in it. The maximum stance width you get on this thing is 23 inches wide, which is pretty narrow for a 163. Nidecker runs the same stance width from their 159 all the way up to their 163 wide, which is really interesting. I'm not the biggest fan of it because I usually like to set my stance back a little bit at riding in POW to give it a little bit more playful tail so I can whip around little corners. But this board is so wide that I actually don't mind not having my stance set back because even run with my stance completely centered, I don't have to try very hard to get my nose up and out of the powder. That makes it really nice because transitioning from park to POW on those really light POW days, whenever you get those parks at the end of your POW run, makes it really nice. You feel completely comfortable going through, nothing weird and wonky going on. The biggest thing I have to say about this board all the time is that it's so consistent. The side cut, you're never going to be surprised. This is the most consistent flex that I've had in a board in a really long time. From tip to tail, you're not going to be surprised. Like, you can really get into some tail wheelies and be just sitting on your tail if you really want. You don't have to worry about it giving out. I'm personally really stoked. The graphic is awesome. The board actually has a really smooth top sheet except for this white paint, which is a matted paint, and it kind of acts as like grip tape. So I'm rocking this with no stomp pad, and I have zero issues. Lately, I've been riding Mount Rose and getting from the shooter lift to the main lift to get back up to the top. It's probably about a 300-yard little run that you have to go on, and in that time space, I don't want to clip in. I've been able to ride this thing with boot out the entire time with no problems. Super good graphic, clean looking. The only thing that Nidecker doesn't tell you, and I'm not sure if you can tell, but the top sheet is kind of glittery in there. It depends on when the light hits it. It changes colors. It kind of goes from a bluish green to a goldish red, depending on what angle you're looking at it from. And then real nice centered base, black through the middle, white tip and tail, little Nidecker logo here. And I personally love the really simple base design. Reminds you of the retro K2 weapon, I think. It's in the Amp 2 video game from the early 2000s. And if you guys ever played Amp 2, you know it's a great game and probably one of the best snowboard games made since the new Steep series. One thing interesting with this board is that although Nidecker says that they're Swiss design, this board is actually made in China. They even imprinted it on the tail there. You probably can't see it. I'll try to get a close-up of that. Some people care a lot. Other people, it might not be a deal breaker for you. For me, I don't really care. This board is super strong. It's withheld a lot. I've got over rocks. I go into the park. I just realized I have a piece of tree stuck in my top sheet here that I'm going to have to take off, seal up real quick. But all around, just super consistent board. Carving, consistent. Jumping, consistent. Rail riding, consistent. Steeps, powder, all really consistent. I'm not surprised by this board at all. One thing for me, which is kind of funny, is that I think this board is actually too wide for me. This board's probably made for someone my size, but I'm just not used to it. I'm used to riding skinnier boards that are a little bit more playful. You can whip around the mountain. I'd probably rate this as an intermediate board because it is a little bit stiffer in the flex. I do like this little hex cut nose. It's a cool little shape. I'd recommend this to anyone who's got a size 14 boot plus. hitting pause on the wide review. So obviously I didn't have a script, so I completely forgot to talk about the board in general. I realized that I was just reviewing the 163 wide and not the board as a whole. Overall, real recommendations. I'd really recommend this board to anybody who's been riding in the park for a while, has all their tricks dialed, and is really just trying to step it up to bigger features. You're gonna like that stiffness landing off of bigger jumps and getting bigger gaps on the rails. Yeah, it's just an all-around good cruiser board. I'd really recommend this board for anybody who wants flexibility in their board. From groomers to pow to parks, rails, side hits, whatever you want it to do, this thing can do it all. It's one of the widest boards you'll get on the market within a reasonable size. I know Lib-Tech makes a board that's really wide, but you have to get into, I believe it's a 175 plus. And there's the Donic Napton Twin, the 165 wide. It has the same 318 nose and tail as this one, but it's rocking a 260 something waist as opposed to this one with a 272. Those boards are also way more pricey than this one. I believe this one retails at somewhere around like $400 out at the gate. And then there's the Ride Twin Pig, which is really short boards that are really wide. And for someone who's 6'6", getting on a 156 is doable. It does mean that leaning into the nose and tail presses is a little bit more difficult because you're that much closer to the nose and tail and that much easier to wash out. Honestly, all around great board. This one could be a quiver killer for those of you that like having one board only. Yeah, hope you guys like my review. If you have any questions, leave them down below. I'll try to get back to them as soon as I can. If you guys found this helpful, hit that thumbs up. And yeah, have a good one, guys. Peace.